go again. So last time I did short multiplication. So this time I'm going to do long multiplication. This one's a lot trickier because you've got more numbers to work with. And it is, even though it is a band 5, year 5 target, we are expected to do a lot of this in year 6 because of it being the trickier type of multiplication sum. We still use column method, but it's a little bit different. Okay, so this is a success criteria that you may or may not have seen already in year 6 when we've done this before. This just helps you to follow the steps. So when you're having a go later on and it's your turn, you can always go back in the video and come back to this point so that you can have a quick look at this. So I've used an example which is 3,267 times 45. And I've gone through each step and made it so that you can see each step separately. Number 1 is really important, so making sure that you're setting out the sum correctly. Number 2, our lines have to be bigger this time because we're dealing with a 2-digit number rather than a 1-digit number. So I always think remembering it as a wide road and a thinner footpath is always a good way of remembering it. Number 3 is the most important step. If you don't do number 3, you will get the answer wrong, which is a shame because you've used your times table knowledge to get to where you've got to. But we have to drop that magic 0. I call it a magic 0 just because without that 0, it's not going to work. That 0 represents that the number that we are using is a 10. So because we are multiplying by a 2-digit number, the 45, the 4 represents 4 tens, so it represents 40. So there's the 4, there's the 0. Okay? Number 4, we multiply all the numbers on the top by the unit. Number 5, we multiply all the numbers on the top by the 10. Number 6, we then add both of those numbers together to get our total, which would then be our answer. Number 7 is also really important, making sure that we check that answer before we move on. This is more important now while we're dealing with multiplication because sometimes our times tables can be incorrect. So making sure that 1, you're not rushing it, and 2, that you are checking it before you move on. Lots of times table practice will help with something like this. So I'm going to pop that to one side so that you can see it while we're doing the first example together, because we can always refer that back to that if we need to. Okay. So our first example then is 265 times 23. We're going to start with a smaller number, so we're doing a 3-digit number multiplied by a 2-digit number. Okay, so first of all, making sure we set it out correctly, as that's really important. Now, when you draw the lines, year 6, make sure that you don't go past where the lines end, where the numbers end. Because otherwise, when you drop your 0 in step 3, your 0 won't actually be lined up with the units, which is where it should be. And then you can put a little dotted line in, just like a road, if you want to help you. That's completely up to you. Okay? So, the first thing that we do then is we're multiplying. So here, look, step number 3, we have to make sure that we drop the magic 0. So, it always goes in the bottom part of the road, underneath the ones or the units. Okay, now that's our sum set up. First thing to do when you get a question like that, whether it's in your lesson or in your SATs paper, is set it all out first and make sure that you've remembered that 0. Okay, right, so now we can begin. We're going to multiply the units first so we can ignore that 2. So we're going to do 265 multiplied by 3 first of all. Okay, so 5 times 3 is 15. Put your carried digits just in the middle of the line because otherwise you're going to get confused with when you have to add them up at the end. 3 times 6 is 18. Add the 1 is 19. And again, we can cross that little one out if we want to. 3 times 2 is 6. Add the 1 is 7. And again, you can cross that out if you want to. So 265 times 3 is 795. Okay? Now, because we've multiplied that and we've completed step number 4, which is this one here, when we move on to step number 5, we can actually cross that unit out because we've finished with it now, and it's just a bit of a reminder because otherwise you might get confused with what you're doing up here. So we've got our 0, which is obviously representing that is 2 lots of 10, so 20. So 2 times 5, and we start in this column, even though this one's been used, we go to the next one. So 2 times 5 is 10. Again, don't make that carry digit too big, otherwise your calculation's going to be wrong at the end. 2 times 6 is 12, add the 1 is 13. Again, even though our lines aren't extended, you can still see the squares. 2 times 2 is 4, add the 1 is 5. So 265 times 20, because remember we are timesing it by 20, is 5,300. Okay. So we're now going to move on to step number 6, which is adding those two numbers together. So as long as you've got your multiplying right at the top and your times tables right, this bit should be the easy part. So 5 add 0 is 5. 9 add 0 is 9. 7 add 3 is 10, carry digit as normal. And then 5 add 1 is 6. So your answer should be 6,095. Okay? And again, you just give it a quick check over once you've finished. And then we're going to move on to the next sum. Okay. This one I've already set up. But there's one thing that I've not done to set out my sum. Can anybody notice what that is? Yep, so I've not dropped that magic 0, which represents that the 3 is 3 lots of 10, which represents 30, making sure that you're putting it in the right place. Okay, so we're doing 4 times 4, first of all, which is 16. 4 times 2, which is 8, add the 1, which is 9. 4 times 5, we've got no carry digits, just checking. Good, okay, so we've got 2,096. That's done, so we can cross that 4 out. We're now moving on to the 10s, so again, this represents 30, so we've already got our 0 here. 3 times 4 is 12. Don't forget to do these smaller, otherwise you're going to get confused. I know some of you might place your carry digits at the top, which is fine if you want to do that, as long as you know where you're going and what you're doing. 3 times 2 is 6, add the 1 is 7. 3 times 5 is 15, which we place over here. Okay? If you do want to extend your lines at this point, you can, but it doesn't really matter as long as you've got your squares. 6 add 0 is 6. 9 add 2 is 11. Make sure you carry your digits. 7 add 0 is 7. Add the 1 is 8. 5 add 2 is 7. And then 1, carry that down. So you should have got the answer 17,816. Okay? Just having a quick look at that and making sure that you're following that was okay. Again, for that one, we only needed to know our 3 times tables and our 4 times tables. Okay, last example then before you have a go at your questions is 1,502 times 33. Again, there's one part that we've missed. So this is the most important. So if you're picking up on it, you should know that you need to make sure that you put that 0 in to represent the 10s. Okay, so 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 0, now this catches some children out. When we're multiplying something by 0, the answer is always going to be 0. Okay, so that would be 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 5 is 15, carry the digits. 3 times 1 is 3, add the 1 is 4. Okay, and again, we can cross that out to show that we've done it. So 3 times 2, this is going to be the same because we're multiplying the same digit. So 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 1, add the 1 is 4. So as you can see, those numbers are very similar. You'll be able to see the relationship between them. This one's just been multiplied by 10. Okay, hence the 0 on the end. Again, if you want to extend your lines, you can. 6 add 0 is 6. 0 add 6 is 6. 5 add 0 is 5. 4 add 5 is 9. And 4, drop the 4, this, if you want to cross that out, just remind yourself that that isn't one that you need to add. Okay, so our answer is 49,566. Okay, and just giving it a good check over just to make sure that you've done them all correct. Okay, right, so using the success criteria, I'll try and fit it all on a page if I can. Yeah, there you go. So, using the success criteria, have a go at these 4 here. So you've got number 1, 465 times 59. Number 2, 3,646 times 28. Number 3, 5,163 times 27. And number 4, 7,306 times 54. So at this point you can pause the video and have a go. It is easier if you've got something with squares. If you haven't, just don't do it too small on what you are using, because otherwise you might get a little bit confused. Okay, so have a go and then we'll go through the answers. You can pause the video. Okay, so hopefully that success criteria helped. I'm just going to pop that up there for now. Okay, so let's have a go at number 1. Okay, so number 1 was 465 times 59. So making sure we're setting it out correctly. If you can't draw straight lines like me, then you make sure you need to use a ruler. Okay, so making sure that we put that 0 there to represent 50 first of all. 5 times 9 is 45. 6 times 9 is 54. Add the 4 is 58. Making sure we're crossing that out. Okay, 9 times 4 is 36. Add the 5 is 41. Okay, we can cross that out. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 6 is 30. Add the 2 is 32. Again, we can cross that out. 5 times 4 is 20. Add the 3 is 23. Okay. Again, like I've explained, you can extend these lines, but I'm just going to carry on. So 5 add 0 is 5. 8 add 5 is 13. 2 add 1, add the 1 is 4. 4 add 3 is 7. Drop the 2. So you should have got for this one 27,435. Well done if you got that one right. If you didn't, see if you can see where you went wrong, because that's really important to see that you can notice your mistakes. Okay, right, let's have a go at number 2. So number 2 is 3,646. This one was a bigger number. Okay, so again, dropping the 0 to represent the 20. So 6 times 8, this is where the times tables get a little bit trickier. Okay, so 6 times 8 is 48. 8 times 4 is 32, add the 2 is 36. Add the 4, sorry, is 36. 8 times 6 is 48, add the 3 is 51. 8 times 3 is 24, add the 5 is 29. Okay? Don't worry about this looking messy, because that's just to show that you're not counting those at the end. Okay, so we've multiplied that one. 6 times 2 is 12. 2 times 4 is 8, add the 1 is 9. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 3 is 6, add the 1 is 7. Okay? 8 add 0 is 8. 6 add 2 is 8. 9 add 1 is 10. 9 add 2 add 1 is 12. 2 add 7 is 9, add the 1 is 10. So your answer for number 2 should have been 102,000. and 88. Okay. Sorry, I haven't used 1 digit per square there, guys. Naughty misuse. Run out of room there. Okay, so let's do number 3 underneath, or I'll turn it around if it doesn't confuse you. Okay, so number 3, 5,163 times 27. This time I'm going to do it without that dotted line just to show that it is still possible. It doesn't have to be there. That's just something that might help some of you just to remember the method and the layout. Okay. Also make sure as well, guys, that you've written the sum down right, because sometimes that can be an issue as well, and making sure that you're copying the sum down correctly in your column method. Okay, so we'll put the 0 here. Let's have a go at this without that dotted line. So 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 6 is 42. Add the 2 is 44. 7 times 1 is 7. Add the 4 is 11. 7 times 5 is 35. Add the 1 is 36. Okay, we can cross that out. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 1 is 2. Add the 1 is 3. 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, and then we can add them up as we go along, making sure that we're remembering carried digits as well as. Okay, so for number 3, you should have got 139,401. Okay, so number 4 then. Let's get another piece of paper. So number 4, we've got 7,306 times 54. Again, let's do it without that dotted line. Still setting it up the same and dropping that 0 to represent the 50. 6 times 4, then let's start straight away. We've got 24. 4 times 0, again, like we've said, anything multiplied by 0 is 0. But this time we've got to add the 2. So that becomes 2. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 7 is 28. Add the 1 is 29. Okay? Cross that out. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 0 is 0, but we've got the 3 here, so that makes it 3. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 7 is 35. Add the 1 is 36. 4 add 0 is 4. 2 add 0 is 2. 3 add 2 is 5. 14. 9. And 3, making sure that we've added that there, okay? Cross it out just to remind you. So for number 4, you should have got 394,524. You can pop the commas in as long as you can put them in the right place. They don't need to be in though. If you were doing a test, and they wouldn't expect you to put the commas in. Okay, so there's long multiplication. See how you did. If you got 4 out of 4, excellent, well done. That means that you've took in the video and used the success criteria really well. It might be that you don't need that success criteria anymore, which is brilliant, because that means it's something now that you're remembering to do. If you've gone wrong anywhere, then just have a look at your sums and see whether it was the method or whether it was the multiplying. If it is the times tables that you're getting wrong or that you're struggling with, then there's plenty of things that you can be doing to make sure that you're learning those and improving on those. So using things like times table rock stars, times table homework if you're in my maths group, or just generally practicing your times tables at any point that you have. You could just be using paper or just repeating them in your head, or even playing games with parents or older siblings, younger siblings. But times tables is really important for the majority of the math skills, especially when we're doing fractions, which is what we're going to do next. Okay, guys, well done. I hope you did okay. Big thumbs up.